I mean, what are his fingers? Wet fingers for that matter, looking for there. All places.
Men, we can't live without them, yet still can't live with them.
Men, why we hate them.
I didn't even know what to think anymore. I thought I had had enough drama to last me a day, but unfortunately, the real drama was just starting. All this while, the maga she'd been referring to was my dad, and I was busy exchanging pleasantries and being friendly with her when she was part of the reasons my mother was miserable at home. Thoughts of my mom crying when she opened up to me about dad flashed through my mind, making me very angry. I didn't even know if I was to be mad at dad for cheating on mom with someone who was in the same age group as his last child, or if I should be mad at Tenny for dating men as old as her dad and breaking people's home because of her selfish desire to keep up with the Joneses. You know him? Tenny asked, looking surprised and slightly embarrassed. You heard me call him dad, I snapped. What does that tell you? Or do you think dad was short for a sugar daddy? I continued, looking at her in disgust. Calm down, my princess, Daddy interjected. It's not what you think. She's my newly employed secretary at the office. We're here for a business meeting with some potential clients, he lied. Dad, you should be ashamed, I began. You can't feed me with your white lies anymore. Mom told me everything. I lost all respect I had for you when I heard how you gallivant town with little girls, all because of some small money you made from a business deal. I could see the shock in my dad's eyes. I'd never spoken rudely to him in my life, not even when my mom told me of his escapades. But seeing him in the act for myself just awakened a demon inside me. It didn't help that my boyfriend had also just cheated on me. I ended up pouring out all my anger on him. When was the last time you took mom out on a date? Or even bought her a piece of thread? I'm not even asking about clothes. I'm only asking about thread. A single piece of thread, I said, waving my index finger in his face. She was with you when you had absolutely nothing. Her prayers and support brought you to where you are today. And now that you've made a little money, she's not good enough for you. Then pointing at Tenny, I continued. It's a pity that you rather spend your money on hangouts with little girls like these that call you maga. I regret having you as a father. Then turning to face Tenny. The next time I see you around my father, I will personally circumcise you, I threatened, pushing past both of them and out of the restaurant. Those were two scenes created in just one day already. If I continued at that rate, I'm sure it wouldn't be long before I was banned from every imaginable public space. I got into my car and sped back home in annoyance. I'd had a long day, and all I wanted was to jump on my bed and sleep. Unfortunately, I ran into traffic, and it didn't help that the person in front of me was driving like a snail in an antique car.
Sorry for what? This nonsense should not even annoy me. Hey, if Sonia knows what is good for her, she better not accept that apology. Because what? Let's continue reading to find out what happens. I felt like getting out of my car and causing the third sin for the day by screaming at him and begging him to save the planet by parking his car at home. But I somehow managed to convince myself to stay in the car. Eventually, I made it out of the annoying traffic. I was still thinking about how Nonso hadn't even bothered to try to reach me since I walked out on him at the restaurant, only to get home and see him standing at my door with a box of chocolates in one hand and a bottle of wine in another. So this idiot thinks chocolates and wine will make up for all he put me through, I thought to myself. I had made up my mind that I would push past him without saying a word, get into my house and lock the door behind me without letting him in. But when I reached the door, he went down on his knees and started begging. Sonia, I'm really sorry, he began. I never meant to hurt you this way. If your partner hurts you and you know you love them too much to resist them, avoid their pleas like a plague. They will only destroy your Ministry of Defense and make you feel guilty. A word, they say, is enough for the wise. As planned, I pushed past him and put my keys in the keyhole to open the door. But he crawled towards me and wrapped his hands around my knees, begging. I ignored him and continued opening the door. When he realized his begging wasn't enough, he stood up immediately. The next thing I knew, I was up in the air. He carried me into the house and locked the door behind him. What are you doing? I screamed. Put me down now, I ordered. I might have as well been talking to a wall because all my screaming fell on deaf ears. He pushed me against the wall with one hand,
held my hands up against it, and started kissing me slowly. I bit his lip and spat in his face. When I did that, I could see the shock on his face. But he recovered quickly. With a giggle and wiping the spit off his face with his fingertip of his free hand, he whispered, "I know you're playing hard to get, but you seem to forget it's my favorite game." Before I realized what was happening, his wet fingers went up under my skirt, gently stroking the magic spot, sending shivers down my spine. I knew very well that he was using his plan B, and I was scared because it had never failed him in the last 2 years.
This story is beginning to pepper my body. Like, what on earth is going on here? Sonia is letting her guard down. Why? Now that Nonso is going to start feeling like he's a smart guy. He can have his way. He can get away with anything. Because what just happened there? Like, what? I thought we were meant to be angry with him. I thought she was meant to be fighting with him, meant to be pushing him away. How on earth is... I mean, what are his fingers? Wet fingers for that matter. Looking for there. Of all places. Are we not supposed to be in fighting mode? Oh, guys, I'm so angry. You can't really blame me. Like, what do you think? What do you think is happening with Sonia? Do you think she's being stupid? Or do you think that we're just looking because we're not in the shoes? Have you ever been in shoes where you had this partner that you just couldn't resist the person? You know, the person always had their way with you. No matter what they did, you always forgave them, even when you didn't feel like, you know. I mean, have you been in those shoes before? Maybe you can relate with Sonia. Please let us know in the comment section because I don't understand what she's doing. Like, oh. Anyway, let's wait till next episode to find out how this plays out. If you're enjoying the story so far and you really don't want to have to wait till the next episode, then there's good news for you. The book is actually available in paperback and ebook format
On Amazon and Seller.
So you just need to go to Amazon and type in Men Why We Hate Them by Olufemi Idowu, and it will bring up the book, and you get to choose whether you want the ebook, paperback, or the audiobook.
For users that don't have access to Amazon, you can download the ebook on seller.co.
And you get to read these and many more exciting titles from yours truly. Men, Why We Hate Them.